Elon Musk has become the perfect representation of this new MAGA movement. He is rich and only cares about cutting taxes for himself and his wealthy friends. He is incredibly corrupt. He is out of touch. He is hypocritical. He is incompetent. He doesn't know what he's talking about or doing. He perfectly represents MAGA. And someone who perfectly represents the new wave of the Democratic Party, a new wave of the Democratic Party I'd like to see more of in Jasmine Crockett, just called out Elon Musk in a brutal takedown for his attempts to shut down the government and really attack all of our institutions that aren't solely dedicated to helping wealthy people like himself. And I want to get into that takedown from Jasmine Crockett, one of our favorites on the show. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way and it really means the world to me. Now, let's get into this takedown from Jasmine Crockett.
We are not going to return to the Christmas omnibus spending tradition, and that is a commitment I've made to everyone. A commitment that lasted approximately 84 days. I don't even have a watch. Earlier tonight, Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries said that if Republicans shut down the government, Democrats will make sure the American people know who is responsible.
House Republicans will now own any harm that is visited upon the American people that results from a government shutdown or worse.
Joining me now is Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, Democrat of Texas, a member of the House Oversight Committee. Congresswoman, thank you for being here tonight. What is happening in the House of Representatives? This was supposed to be just, a pro forma exercise. They're going to pass this year, and it has turned into an utter debacle with people openly calling for Speaker Johnson to be thrown out of the Speaker's office. How are Democrats looking at this?
Listen, we're looking at this like this is their problem. We have seen this play out over and over in the entire 2 years that I've been in Congress. We know that they had a problem picking a speaker when I first got to Congress, and I thought since they held on to the speaker a little bit longer than they held on to McCarthy, that I could go into January knowing that Mike Johnson would be the speaker, but now they're calling for his ouster. And remember, this is not like one of the most senior members, right? So basically, he had not burned enough bridges, and so they had to go way down in seniority to find someone that they could come to a consensus on. When they swear in January, or when we all try to swear in January, listen, there's going to be less Republicans than we had in the 118th, right? Because the story has not really been told about how strongly House Democrats performed while the Republicans won the White House, while they ended up picking up so many seats in the Senate. You know who lost seats? The House, right? Now, should we have a Speaker Jeffries? Absolutely. If North Carolina didn't cheat and take away our seats, we would have a Speaker Jeffries, and we would not be in this situation. But here's the deal. There is no fixing this without the Democrats. We have seen this over and over, and I'm just going to sit back and sip my tea and wait on them to figure it out.
Or maybe sip something stronger. I'm just saying it. Hakeem Jeffries, you talk about Leader Jeffries and say, he said in a statement, House Republicans have been ordered to shut down the government and hurt the working class Americans they claim to support. You break the bipartisan agreement, you own the consequences that follow. Am I to understand from that statement that Democrats are willing to see Republicans shut down the government and not bail them out?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I take my lead from my actual leader. I don't work against him, which is what Mike Johnson has to deal with all the time. The lack of cohesiveness on that side is why this has been the most unproductive Congress. People all over X and everything is like, well, they don't deserve anything. They're so unproductive. Let me tell you, the people that y'all keep putting in charge are the reason that we are unproductive, because they don't understand how to govern. And honestly, they don't even have a will to govern. And the fact that they are allowing somebody who basically is a shadow president to come out and tell them what to do, including Donald Trump, because listen, we know that Elon, as they have touted about how they need to get rid of the immigrants, let me be clear, Elon cannot become president of the United States because he is an immigrant who has gained U.S. citizenship later on in life. So he's not qualified to be, or he's not allowed to be under our Constitution. So instead, he decided that he was going to buy a president, and right now he is pulling all the strings on Trump. But I think that it's funny that they want to talk about money and talk about what we're spending it on, but I've yet to hear that him or or Vivek or any of them is going to say, you know what, we know that it would be a conflict of interest if we continue to take the millions and millions of dollars from the federal government that we normally receive. So we are not going to do that while also making decisions about what to do on the budget for the federal government.
I guess the question is, it's chaos, right? The car guy, the rocket guy is now dictating legislative priorities, scuttling bills in the House of Representatives that could shut down the government. The speaker, who was elected after a lot of back and forth inside the House Republican Conference, could be on his way out in 3 weeks. The question, I guess, is, do you worry as Democrats that what might come after Mike Johnson could be potentially worse than what you have now?
I don't think it can get any worse. I mean, here's the deal. We thought that Mike Johnson was even worse than McCarthy. And Mike Johnson had to realize, in order to get anything done, that he had to come and talk to us. Listen, if they want to be successful, then all they've got to do is come together as a caucus. But the reality is that you've got bomb throwers. You don't have a unified caucus, and they are going to have a one-seat majority. What does that mean? Ultimately, they're going to have 217 people, while we have 215 on the Democratic side. That means they lose one vote. If one person, because you have to have a majority, if it's 216 to 216, it fails. Let me tell you, this quote-unquote mandate that MAGA thinks exists, it ain't going nowhere, right? Because they literally can't do the basics. We have passed the least amount of bills in this Congress because of the Republicans. And let me remind you, because you brought up the debt ceiling. Remember why the last speaker got kicked out? It was because he raised the debt ceiling, and all of it. And Trump was the one calling for his head. Now he's like, raise the debt ceiling. You know why? Because his Trump tax cuts, this old con that he has, right, that helps out all the billionaires that he's putting into his administration, or at least is hoping to put into his administration, those Trump tax cuts, they expire in 2025. Mind you, he is the only president we've ever had that in one term ran our debt up to $8 trillion. So he already knows he's about to run our debt up, so he doesn't want to have to deal with the debt ceiling. Instead, he wants us to do it. Listen, I ain't got no favors for you, Trump. When you get here, then yes, you will have the House, the Senate, as well as the White House, and y'all can see if y'all can figure it out. But right now, I am not trying to shut down this government, because let me tell you, whether you're a Democrat, Republican, or independent, when you are traveling over these holidays, you may end up with some problems, because TSA is federal government, because those that are doing air traffic control to make sure that we're safe, that's federal government. If you are concerned about the border, let me tell you, that is also federal government officers. And so, yes, if you're concerned about our international security, guess what? Our military personnel will not get paid, all because you don't want to help out those that need help as relates to seniors. You don't want to help out farmers. You don't want to help out our veterans. These are the things that were in the bill. And for those that want to talk about a COLA, let me tell you, there is no language about the COLA. So stop saying that there is a 40% increase. It is actually silent. And you know why? Because there is a law that is in place, because in exchange for a COLA that we give out to our staffers all the time, you know what we had to give up? We had to give up honorariums. We had to give up being able to work on the side. But you know what we also have to do is we have to pay for a house in the district that we live in, as well as we have to pay for housing in D.C.
That is the reality of the pay raise, or I think you're using the official legislative terms for it, that was in the bill that has just been killed by Elon Musk, Donald Trump, maybe even J.D. Vance. I'm not sure. There's so many cooks in the kitchen. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, with just a few thoughts and feelings about what is happening in the chaotic House-run House of Representatives. Thank you so much for breaking it down for us. It's great to have you on the show.
Now, before we get into all that Jasmine Crockett had to say, I first want to bring up that we recently saw a House leadership election on the Oversight Committee in which AOC lost a race to chair that committee on the Democratic side, to lead it up to a more senior member of the Democratic caucus, and Rep. Connolly. And I was unhappy with that decision, because not only do we need younger voices in the Democratic Party, we need voices who understand this current moment in media and who can connect with a broader base of our party, and not just that, but reach some independents and Republicans as AOC is able to. And that's why we need her leading oversight, one of the most important committees where we can call Republicans out, where we can get attention on their corruption. And Jasmine Crockett is a perfect example of young leaders like AOC and experienced leaders in this new media who we need more of. She is always so great at getting the message out, driving it home and reaching people who otherwise wouldn't pay attention to politics. I know her slam of Marjorie Taylor Greene as a butch, blonde, bad built, what was it? Bleach blonde, bad built, butch body went super viral. We need more. Maybe that's not the exact example we need every time, but we need more of Jasmine Crockett. It's why we are always showing her on the show, because she's doing such an incredible job. And as we saw there, perfectly calling out Elon Musk, an incredible takedown. And Elon Musk should become the poster child for the Republican Party, because if Donald Trump does not try to find a way to defy the Constitution once again and run again in 2028, then we're done running against Donald Trump. Of course, he is incredibly unpopular with some groups, and his positions are way more unpopular, but we need to show that the MAGA movement isn't just Donald Trump, but it's this infiltration of corrupt billionaires who aren't pushing a working class agenda, as Donald Trump would have you believe. They're working for their rich friends. And Elon is the perfect example. Someone who doesn't understand government, someone who's completely out of touch and incompetent, and someone who's only there to benefit himself. So making Elon the poster boy of the Republican Party is an incredibly smart move, I think, on behalf of any Democrats who are messaging that way. And that's what we're going to be doing on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. You can leave a like on this video. And if you stuck around at the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And if you want to connect with the show off of YouTube, you can follow me on Instagram or Twitter. I just finished my last final of this semester, so maybe we're going to have a little bit more happy, positive posting on there, but could give me a follow. We can connect. And until next time, I'll see you soon.